All right. Good evening. Welcome. We're going to talk about some common career myths tonight, and these are things that I have seen in my experience. So my name is Mike Gelman, and I am a career coach. And I work within a Fortune 500 company, and I've worked for nonprofits as well over the years. And, I'd just like to share, some of the things that I've gleaned along the way. I've been in a position to help people, a lot of people with their career paths and get clarity around their careers and, bust through some of the myths, some common things that I think hold many people back, particularly in organizations where they're trying to move around and get promoted or move laterally, into another area, whether you're early in your career or whether you're mid-career. So I've also authored a book, Pipe Dreams, 7 Pipelines of Career Success. So if at any time you want to know more information, you can look that up. You can go to my website, mikegelman.com, mikegelman.com. I also have a Facebook author page, and I have free advice on there. I also have replays of these periscopes on there. So feel free to go there. You would just go to facebook.com/7, the number 7 pipelines. So facebook.com, 7 pipelines. And that will take you to my Facebook author page. Just like it, and then you'll get updates on anything new that I add there, any blogging or any new videos, things like that. So what I'd like to do is, kind of get started on some of the common myths that I have, that I've seen, and kind of hold some people back. And I've worked with a lot of employees at the early stage of their career, even mid career, and late late career, all stages. It really doesn't matter. I've been a victim, if you will, to some of these myths over time, and so I want to share with you a few tonight, and then we'll probably welcome Eclipse. Thanks for joining. So I'm going to just share a few tonight. And then, if it's something that resonates with you guys, let me know. You can give hearts by tapping on your screen. Let me know if it resonates with you. I'll do some more tomorrow and maybe even Wednesday night, and we can just kind of have a career myths week, a Mythbuster week. How about that? So you can ask questions that you have and things of that nature. So one of the most common ones, and one of the reasons I wrote the book, quite honestly, is one of the myths is if I... Good evening, Eclipse. Welcome. So one of the things that I've noticed is, that the belief that if I keep my head down and nose to the grindstone, work hard, that the right person will take notice, whether it's my manager or someone else will take notice and tap me on the shoulder for that next great opportunity. And in reality, that happens maybe 10% of the time, 15% of the time. It depends on your organization. But in reality, there's more to it. There's things that you actively need to do to take charge of your career. And sometimes we need to let go of what should happen, right? Because many of us have the belief that we shouldn't necessarily have to promote ourselves or toot our own horn. And I definitely have been in that camp in the past, but there are things that you can do to certainly create more visibility for what maybe not just what you've done, but also what you're capable of doing. And unfortunately, your manager isn't a mind reader, and neither are others. And one of the things that I do is I facilitate a lot of what's called succession planning discussions. And these are discussions talking about talented employees in the organization, rising stars, And, there's a lot of debate among leaders, would this person potentially be able to fill this particular role or that particular role? And, just keeping your head down, working hard. If no one else knows about you, welcome. Is it I am? I'm not sure. Let me know. Welcome, Shaw Dynasty. Welcome. So one of the things is those that are really successful know how to become more visible in the organization. They get involved and they do some things that are proactive. And, even the people that get the promotions, oftentimes there's things that they've done that you might not even realize. And so it's definitely not enough. Your boss, for example, might have a number of employees working for him or her, and they're just too busy, They're too busy. They might like the work you do, but they might not, either number one, they might not be a great advocate themselves for selling you for other opportunities. Number two, they might be so overwhelmed and blitzed that they're not able to see the opportunities that could be created for you, particularly if you haven't even shared your aspirations. So how many of you have had a conversation with your boss to share what it is that you would like, ideally? How many of you have had that conversation with your boss to say, these are the types of opportunities I'd be looking for? And Bologna Sandwich, welcome. Dog, welcome. So, these are some things that you need to consider is they have lives of their own. And unfortunately, as vested as they should be in your career as you would like, no one's going to care more about your career than you. And so there's definitely some active things you can do to make it known. One is have the career conversation with your boss, at the very least, to make it known that what you want. And if you don't know what you want, that'll be a subject of another Periscope. But the key thing is do what you need to do to get clear. And you can reach out. It might be a conversation with a friend. It could be a conversation with your boss. Kind of explore that, or a mentor. Family member, any number of things, a workshop, a coach. There's any number of ways you can do that, or just your own reflection on things that you've enjoyed in the past, in previous jobs or in your current job. What are those things that you really like and feel energized by? And those are some indicators. But the key thing is just keeping your head down, nose to the grindstone, just isn't enough. In a small company, possibly. But often what happens, and I've seen it time and again, is there's someone else in your company that's also, busting their hump and working hard and doing good work as well. And if they're more vocal about it, chances are they're going to get more attention, because sometimes, bosses don't like conflict. If they see an employee who they can count on, right? I'm sure many of you kind of, dialing in here to this broadcast or work hard, maybe strong performers. But, the thing is, if you're doing a good job and you don't make any waves or mention, a boss, they may say, I like you doing that. They don't want to lose you. If you're a strong performer, that's a natural human tendency. Think about if you have a strong employee working for you and you rely on them and you count on them, it can be hard. Not all bosses are comfortable with, having someone move on, to another department or a different position because they rely on you. And so, the way you get around that, if you think you fall into that category, or if you have a friend or family member that falls into that category, again, is that transparency, and having that conversation with your boss and saying, I feel like I work hard. I like what I do here. I just really crave something else in addition to this or instead of this as a next step. So my boss wants me to come up with a plan to transition me for a promotion. Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. So what, do you have a question about that? That's awesome. That's one of the best ways you can advocate for yourself, because I'll have many managers, and feel free to ask a question. I'll just kind of speak to it a little bit. I have many managers say, why should I develop my people? Why should why should I develop my people? And you know what my response is? You feel like you're being forced. Interesting. So you don't want it, Eclipse? You'd like to stay where you are? Yeah, so let me know, Eclipse. Like, is this something where you'd rather just keep doing what you're doing? Or, are you looking for, hi Lumi, welcome. So, or are you looking for something different? But just not this particular thing your boss is advocating for you. So, really, a decrease in pay? Oh, that sucks. So is it more responsibility, less pay, that kind of thing? Um, well, you have choices, right? We all have choices. You can accept that or not. You can think long term. Would this give me a skill or experience that would be valuable for my future marketability, either within this company or at another company? So that's one way to look at it, right? I don't know how much of it. Yeah, I get it. Okay. So so how do you manage that then, right? That's a tricky situation because you don't want to disrespect your boss, right? That can be a tricky situation. And that's where being clear on what it is you're passionate about and what you love can really be valuable because you can be authentic in the conversation, right? You can say, gosh, I'm really flattered that you see me in this position. It's difficult for me to justify what, 20,000 less in pay and it's a promotion? Interesting. What kind of industry are you in? You don't have to share the name of the company, but what is it, a small company, a large company? Is it a certain industry? I'm just kind of curious. That's really interesting. I don't come across that often. Most employers, if they're smart, will at least maintain your current pay, particularly if they're approaching you for a different job. Unless they're trying to disguise it as a promotion and it's really not. Maybe it's really a demotion. Financial, in the financial industry. Oh, really interesting. Is your company healthy or are they in distress? Fortune 500, wow, that's interesting. So that's an interesting situation there. So I'm not sure. I don't have all. Oh, sales commission. Okay, so a lower base, and is there any upside potential? Is there a possibility of making more? It's just your base is going to be lower. So healthy company. All right. So maybe they're trying to trim some costs. Their fixed costs, if you will. So that's an interesting. Teach me how to flip a brick, David. What do you mean by that? Your boss? What's the brick? Because I can think of all kinds of analogies there. Um, Key thing though is to kind of have that conversation about you're really a brick of coke. Oh, I see. Well, David, I think this is the wrong broadcast for that. This is a career conversation here, so I'm not going to be able to really address your question there. Um, so, in any event, trapping. So, in any event, Eclipse, 5-year potential. So you have a choice point to make. Is it worth it to you to invest the time now for that longer term potential? So you're with a Fortune 500 company, healthy, financial organization. What's in it for you? And maybe kind of just even simple, do the pros and cons, but what is it that you really want? Start there for your life, for your lifestyle. And will this lead you a step in that direction in some fashion? If the answer is no, then you have some options, right? You could say no, no thanks, say no thanks, like where I'm at. If you don't have a choice, right? You might not have a choice. Maybe they're making changes to everyone's jobs. If you don't have a choice, then you could leave the company. A third option is to negotiate something different, right? Kind of get a sense of what is it that they're looking to accomplish by doing this, and negotiate something different that will be better serve you. Being pushy. Are they having difficulty finding people that can take on more senior positions? Because I will tell you that in some companies, including a Fortune 500, that I have worked for, you know, that can be a struggle sometimes, particularly if there's sometimes hourly employees moving into management. Some hourly employees can make more money than their managers, believe it or not, because of the overtime. You know, because of the overtime, when you become management, you make less. Now you're talking about a sales position, so I don't know if that applies to you, but you know, definitely, yeah. Sometimes the compensation system in companies, even Fortune 500s, where you would think they kind of have better alignment, they don't have it quite right. They need some fine tuning on what it is they're rewarding and recognizing, and so yeah, I hear you on that. Um, you know, so you know, one of the things you can certainly do. I don't know if that answers your question or not. You know, we can talk more offline if you want. Eclipse, you can go to my Facebook author page and maybe we can have a chat there or something like that. Um, you just go to facebook.com/7pipelines, facebook.com/7pipelines. That's where I do a little bit of blogging, these replays are posted there as well. So, okay, great. So you're welcome. So in any event, so what do the successful people do? What have I seen the successful people do? My role as an internal consultant for Fortune 500, my role as being a coach in private practice as well. You know, people who are really successful to getting where they want to go, from where they are to where they want to go, get involved in the organization. So some of the things are common sense that you guys would know, I'm sure, such as, you know, taking initiative, but taking on the assignments that nobody else wants, right? Turning around a project that others have failed at, right? Taking on that challenge. I love those because they may be difficult, but the expectations are really low. You know, I mean, they're not expecting you to succeed in some cases, right? If you volunteer for something nobody else wants. So it is an opportunity for you to differentiate yourself. You're like, you know what? I'll take that on. Welcome, Simon. Welcome. I'll take that on. And that's where you can, you know, really shine. You know, wow, that not only did you take on something that was unpopular and kind of a job that's, you know, people just haven't succeeded at, but if you've turned it into something valuable, your value is going to just through the roof, skyrocket. Simon, welcome. Unfortunately, I'm not able, I don't know if that's Russian. I'm not able to read that. I'm sorry, unfortunately. I don't know if you have a way to translate it into English. I apologize. So, so yeah, you can skyrocket. So in any event, yo, there we go. Sandcastle Kid, welcome. So they get involved. There's committees within your company. If there isn't a committee, start one. You know, if you see things, for example, that could be fixed in your organization, Sandcastle, welcome, hello. If you see things that can be fixed in your organization, then that's an opportunity, you know, process improvement of some sort. You know, that's an opportunity there. So I remember, I mean, I've done that my whole career with things that I see that need to be fixed. And welcome. Oh, you're a programmer. Great. I've worked with a ton of programmers. I used to support an IT department as their advisor, if you will. It's called Organizational Development Advisor. 4 years. That's great. And yeah, absolutely. Because some people, they might hate it, but you might love it, right, Eclipse? They might love it. Like some people don't like doing presentations or speaking in front of people. And for you, you might like it. It might not even be in your department. It might be another department. So if you see a need, go after it. Companies only care about professional experience. Tell me more, Sandcastle, about that in terms of what you're experiencing there. Are you early in your career? Or are you changing careers? Not hobby projects. Oh, okay, I see what you mean. You know, sometimes that's certainly true. Like they want someone that's seasoned to take something on. So that's where you can start to look for projects or things that others aren't taking on, or you can join forces. You can partner with someone who's a master at it. So you make projects for fun, like programming projects, I'm assuming software. That's great. That's great. So if you're able to create something that's of value, you see a need in your company that's of value, and you can just go off on your own and create something that addresses the need. That even if it's not successful in and of itself. Okay, so your early career, yeah. So that's great that you initiate some of your own projects, Sandcastle. That's great. You used to freelance. Okay, so you've got some seasoning, right? In university. Okay, so you've got some experience. That's great. Don't discount that at all. I hope you play that up a bit. That's legitimate experience you have. Freelancing. There's so much you learn as a freelancer, right? Contracting, how to contract with people, how to negotiate fees, how to deliver on what you promise. You're so passionate. So what happened? You say was so passionate. What happened, Sandcastle? Lenny, welcome. So feeling low. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. I have the sense of you want to get into another job, but they're saying you're not experienced enough, something like that. And okay. So sometimes it takes time to build up that trust. And so the ones that are really successful in organizations build relationships. And so I would focus on, strengthening relationships, building relationships, and sure, of course they care about the bottom line, right? Of course they do, of course. However, that doesn't end amount of experience, but that's not an end-all be-all. I know plenty, and that leads into one of my other myths, okay? I'm just going to kind of deliver it right here, and that is that the most qualified person gets the job. How about that for a myth? The most qualified person gets the job. What do you guys think of that? That is a myth. Yeah, qualified how? Great question, right? According to whom? So whoever's doing the hiring, exactly, Sandcastle, it depends on the manager, right? Whoever's doing the hiring, what they value most, right? So if it's intelligence or experience, what about who you know? Yes, building relationships compared to experience. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to block that one. This is a professional thing, so above the line. So in any event, so yeah, that's a great question. So experience versus relationships, or who you know, right? That's a great question. And so let me talk about why the most qualified person might not get the job, right? And then we'll kind of weave in some of your questions around the who you know piece, because that's a big one, and that's totally legit. So, the most qualified person in the organization might be tied up on a project or something, and their manager's not able to let them go. Number two, the most qualified person might not be interested in the job. They're interested in him or her maybe, but maybe they're not interested in the job. They don't think it's the right fit. Number three, it's not the right timing for them. Sandcastle, sure, nepotism goes on, but I have to say, sometimes you have to learn you have to understand how the game is played. Unfortunately, I know you shouldn't have to. That's often the reality. And sometimes true nepotism, if it's really, really bad, then, maybe it's not the right place, so I get that. Trust me, I get that. I've seen that. On the other hand, though, if it's the relationships and who you know that matters, then focus on building the relationships. So, because what you want to do is you want to be on top of mind. Once a job is posted, sometimes it's almost too late. A hiring manager often has some people in mind who they would love to bring in. Now, granted, they might not be available for the reasons I was mentioning. They might not be interested. Or sometimes I've seen some people who thought they had the job bagged up. Case in point. one client of mine basically had a good friend of his at work, and his friend basically was asked to apply for the job. He was basically asked to apply for the job. He thought he had it in the bag. Now, the company had to conduct the interviews to do, due diligence, right? To be fair and conduct the interview. So they had at least 3 people interviewed. This guy came into the interview, just like, I got it, just kind of arrogant. Sterlo, yeah, we'll get to that, Sterlo. Yes, that's true. Some people, and by building relationships ahead of time, even before a job is done, number 1, can help put you at ease going into an interview, so you interview better. And number 2, they get to know a little bit more who you are, and they have more data points, right? You want to give them more data points than just the interview, because quite honestly, interviews are not the most successful. All right, I'm going to get back to my story. So what happened? So this guy is in this interview, Sandcastle. He's in this interview, and he comes across as, I've got the job, and he has this arrogant attitude that he didn't interview well, and they said they thought he was entitled. He felt entitled. That's how he came across, that he was entitled. And he did not get the job. He blew it. It was his job to lose, and he lost it. His job to lose. So you never know. And so I always say it never hurts to apply. And second, the other thing is, it's kind of marketing yourself, right? So even if you're not interviewing, getting the interview helps plant seeds for future opportunities with that, right? There's always change. There's someone going on leave. There's someone who gets a promotion. So remember that. Even if you don't get this particular job and you've interviewed well or you've established some rapport, they're going to remember you. And if they have something else that opens up 6 months from now or 3 months or a year from now, people will call you back. That will happen. And we do that in my organization. We do that with someone we interviewed that came in second. Gosh, they were strong. It's just, we could only pick one person. We only have one job. Be the Peyton Manning of a job. Okay, nice analogy. Nice analogy. So you left your job a month ago, left alone, even though I love Cam. Yeah. So we won't get into the Peyton Manning, Cam Newton debates, but thanks for bringing that up. But yeah, oh wow, we could go all day with different football superstar analogies, right? The Terrell Owens, right? People, he's talented, but if you're talented, and I covered this with one of the career killers, I think 2 nights ago, you could be talented, but if your attitude is just, you're not a team player, or it's all about me, throw me the ball, give this assignment to me, give this job to me, that turns people off. That really turns people off. You may get away with it, once or twice, but ultimately, you start that's a good way to tank your career in the long run. And, and just like in sales or in IT, a star IT person, you could be a star programmer, Sandcastle, you could be a total whiz, but if you're not able to build relationships and serve your clients' needs, like what it is that they want, ultimately you're going to suffer, right? And I'm not saying you're in that boat at all. I'm just saying, because I worked with IT, so I'm just giving that as an example. I'm not talking about yourself. Yeah, sometimes, they can be socially out. You like working with data, right? You like working with data, and you get some control over that, right? And but that's not the end all be all. So back to the thing, is it who you know? Oftentimes that's an attention getter and a starter, but that's not the only thing. It's not the only thing. So I like to I say, if you're all smiles and no substance, you may get the job once, but it's not going to last, right? People are going to notice that you're not performing, right? If you're all smiles and no substance, that doesn't work. The reverse is true too. If you're all substance, but you're not able to develop the relationships, if you're kind of grumpy and just stay in your corner, depending on the role, there are some roles where that's fine for the companies, and we just want a workhorse, right? There's some companies that just want that, and there's room for that. Okay, so I'm not. Just know that whatever I'm speaking about, nothing is black and white in my mind. Very few things are black and white in my mind. There's always exceptions. There's always exceptions, and you can use those exceptions to your advantage, right? There's always different biases in the workplace. Always. I mean, so I'm saying always, right? That is an absolute, right? We all have biases, so that's an absolute I'm going to fess up to. We all have biases. And so knowing who your audience is, right? So if you're in sales, right? If you're in Eclipse, you're in sales, right? How do you make a sale to someone, right? Don't you know like who you are selling to? Like, is it someone who likes a lot of data, you know, and needs to think about it on their own? Is it someone that likes just the, hey, you know, how about those Patriots, or how about those Panthers, or, you know, whatever? Yeah, don't you do that and adjust your sales style to meet the type of person they are, right? Because you want to meet their needs. You want to speak their language, right? It's a similar process with getting that dream job that you want. It's kind of understanding what works and who they are. And we don't always know. Sometimes we're going in blind. But I have to say with LinkedIn, if you're not on LinkedIn, get on there. I mean, there's a treasure trove of information you can find out about who's hiring you and kind of what they like, what is it they say about themselves, what are they proud of, their connection points. The more connection points you can have, the better your chances. So you bring to bear not only your talents and the relationships, but as some of you were mentioning earlier, if they're valuing like the whole paradox, right? We need someone with more experience, right? And if you're starting out early in your career, or maybe you're just making a career change, maybe you have a lot of experience, but you're making a change to something else, then it's about connecting the dots for them. How does your previous experience, how would it apply to this new situation? How would it apply to this new situation? And we call those transferable skills. Transferable skills. And welcome. Theme Maestro, is it? Mastro? Oh, the Master of GTAV. Master of those, the master. So welcome. So some things to keep in mind there. I'm going to be closing out this broadcast shortly because I've got some things to do tonight. But you know, come back tomorrow night. We'll continue with some of these myths. And you guys are asking awesome questions. I really love the participation and some of the hearts. Who you know thing when preparation meets opportunity. Yeah, I love that quote. If you get through a door, kill it. What's transferable skills? What's the title about? I didn't get that. What's the title about? Can you elaborate on that? But transferable skills are skills that you have, like maybe you're good at analyzing things. Maybe you're good at customer service. Maybe you're strong at managing conflict, or taking someone who is really angry and helping to get some resolution. Maybe you're strong at influencing others. Maybe you're strong at leading others, and you're able to get people to follow you on things. Maybe you're super organized, and you can take something that's chaotic and turn it into something organized and make progress, right? So those are skills. So for example, Eclipse, if you're going from a sales job to, I don't know, let's pick something at random, right? In IT, since we've got an IT, we've got a programmer on here, right? I wouldn't see that often. I wouldn't expect to see that. But it's usually the reverse. But let's say you're going from sales to IT, right? You're in sales, not working, but you want to go into programming. Well, what's the transferable skills? Well, you do an assessment of your customers, right? What are their needs? Well, so do programmers. They call it requirements. What's the customer's requirements? Right, Sandcastle? Don't you call it requirements? You want to find out what the requirements are. That's connecting the dots. Sales to business analyst. Okay, great. Yeah. So that's what you call transferable skills. And the thing is, it should be reflected in your resume. It should be reflected in your responses for your interviews, right? because relying on your manager or a recruiter to do that for you, they may be able to, right? But they deal with a lot of jobs, right? Especially recruiters. They may or may not be able to see that. It might not be obvious. And particularly if they're using software, right? So you send your resume by email or by through the web, through their website. Some of them score resumes with software. That's a whole other topic. Jam-packed professional. Sure, it can be challenging. Yeah, it's competitive. It's competitive, and that's where knowing yourself and being able to use multiple methods will. No one's interested in your background story. I wouldn't go as far to say no one. I think there's some ways to package your background story in a way that will be of interest to them. The key thing is making it relevant to them, right? Making it relevant to them. So you have to do the heavy lifting on that, right? You have to do the heavy lifting on that, Sandcastle, and figure out how does your quote-unquote story apply, right? How many people with different disabilities have gotten jobs and been successful, right? You might say, oh, no one's interested in that, but you're able to, again, you're using multiple data points. So I hear you, though. I hear you. I've gotten that, too. I've wondered, why didn't I get that job? It's like, I've overcome a lot of challenges or whatever, but you never know all the reasons, right? I mean, everyone's got different reasons, and it's not because your diminished value, because it's not necessarily because of that, right? There's only one position, at a time in many cases. So I encourage you not to get discouraged. I know the job search process, you can take a beating, right? You can take a beating every time you get the no or don't hear back, about a job, and you put in all the work, put in an hour or 2 hours crafting the perfect cover letter or resume, and or maybe you have a friend who referred you in and then you still didn't get the job. I get that. Move on, or if it's something you really want, persist. Just stay in touch with them. Show how professional you are and that you're not bitter about it. And again, you stay top of mind and opportunity comes along. Remember, you're evaluating them too. You're evaluating them as well. It's a two-way street. They're looking at you to see if you're a good fit for them. Well, guess what? You're doing the same thing, aren't you? And if you're not, that's a lot of power you're giving away. That's a lot of power you're giving away. So you're evaluating them as well. Are they a good fit for you? And, a lot of employers are recognizing that now in the interview process. Make sure you have questions for them, right? When they ask you, do you have any questions? Be prepared with some questions, right? Because you want to know if it's a good fit for you, right? You don't want to end up taking this job. You get offered a job that you're going to be miserable in, right? Because that maybe it's a culture that is inflexible and you value autonomy or you value being able to telecommute a few days a week, whatever it may be, or you need time for your kid if you have kids. You want to be able to pick up your kids. For me, I have a 12-year-old son. I've turned down, I'm quote unquote missed out. I won't say missed out, but in a way I've missed out on opportunities because for me, my son's my priority. So I haven't taken jobs. In fact, I haven't taken jobs. I've turned some down because it, would interfere with that ability to, pick him up from school when I need to, or if I wanted to volunteer. That's a personal choice. Not everyone would make that decision. Some people would put the career higher, or they might have someone for daycare or something like that. I don't judge that at all. It's all personal, right? I have no judgment at all on that. Yeah, I hear you. That. So it's all personal. You have to decide what's best for me, right? Right, Eclipse, Sandcastle, others, Kyle. It's like what is what is best? Hi, Dad. Hi, Dad. So, what is best? Advice. I've been giving all kinds of advice. What kind of advice would you like, Kyle? I'm going to be wrapping up this podcast. I'd be happy to answer a question if you have one. So, we're talking about career myths. Again, my name is Mike Gelman, author of Pipe Dreams, 7 Pipelines of Career Success. Is God real? I don't answer God questions on this broadcast. I'm sorry, I'm not the right place, but there's tons of people out there, though, Kyle, that will speak to that. No, we'll speak to that. So, yeah, I can't meet you there, Kyle. It's not a show about. It's not a broadcast about that. This is about career advice. So, you know, I don't want you to have to waste your time. I want you to make a good use of your time, Kyle. So this show would be a waste of your time if you're looking for some conversation around God. So, in any event, what kind of career should you have in life? That's personal. What kind of career would you like? I don't know you. To make you hate your life. Okay. So I'm sorry, Kyle. I don't mean disrespect, but you're not responding to you're not respecting my answers in terms of this. So I'm just not going to play into that. So in any event, where did I lost my train of thought? So you guys might need to remind me. I told this employer I left my job. Great question. Well, what were the circumstances? I mean, you have to be honest. I mean, that's the bottom line. Now, there's different ways to tell people you left a job far from home. I worked with, I do a lot of nonprofit work as well, and I've coached ex-felons as you know, in transition homes that gotten out of jail for different things like drugs and other crimes, nonviolent crimes. But and can you imagine that? You know, they have to explain why is it that they got fired from different jobs and they haven't worked in 5 years. Take advantage. Yeah, that happens sometimes. So pipe dreams. It's I have a model, 7 pipelines. It's a model. And I talk about different elements you need to consider to find your passion and purpose. That's at the hub of the model. Your personality, how does that play in? How does your performance play into your success? How does your potential play in to your success? Actually, if you go on to Amazon.com, you can look up my book and look at the table of contents. You'll kind of get a good sense there of that. But the book's kind of in 3 sections. So the first one, I talk about career myths in more detail. I talk about career myths, the 10 career myths. I share my story. I share them throughout the book, my stories and my career and where I've, had some challenges. I don't proclaim to be the perfect coach or the perfect job seeker person by any means. I'm always learning. I'm always trying to improve myself. So the beginning of the book speaks to the model as the framework. How do you discover what your true passion and your purpose in life, as well as different factors to take into consideration to do that. So I have great questions at the end of each chapter to get you thinking, to provoke your thinking. And then I talk about navigating resistance and change, during your career. You're welcome. You're welcome. Go to my Facebook author page, Eclipse. Go to my Facebook author page. You'll find more there for free. I'm not trying to make money off of this. My book's available, but you can go to my Facebook author page. I've done some blogging, and you can peruse it, and I'll interact. If you email me on there, I'll respond. I'll respond. I try to respond within 24 hours, within the day. I've got my full-time job, I've got my son, I've got some coaching stuff I do on the side, so I keep pretty busy, you know. But yeah, feel free. You go there and I'll respond there too. So yeah, I have experience hiring people. I'll be honest, I haven't done a ton of hiring, but I have been hiring. People, and but there's definitely people who are recruiters or hiring managers who have hired a ton of people. So I'm not going to proclaim that I'm a hiring expert, but I see what's on the other side of things because I work with a lot of the leaders. I facilitate succession planning within the companies. So I know the conversations that they have and what they're looking for when they're hiring someone. So I know what they're talking about when you're not in the room. And that's what I want to share with you guys, right? Because it's a mystery, right? Many of you probably don't even aware of succession planning. What the heck's that? What the heck's that? So I could have a whole periscope on succession planning and what that is. So I feel for you. It's like a big mystery, right, to many people. And you're just trying to get something, and it's like a moving target. Like, well, what is it that they want from me? So I get that. But I'm going to need to get going. The interaction tonight's been awesome. You guys have been awesome. It's really been a lot of fun. So I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to try to do it a little earlier if I can tomorrow night. So succession planning, just briefly, Eclipse, and for the rest of you, it's like looking at their bench strength, right? So a baseball team, right, in the majors, they have farm teams, if any of you like baseball, right? They have, AAA, AA, whatever. So they have up-and-comers, and they spend some time there, and they get a sense to get to know them, and get them ready for the big leagues, right? That's the idea. Not everybody makes it to the big leagues, of course, right? There's only so many positions on the team. But succession planning in companies, it's the same thing. They want to have a strong bench. They want to have people, if someone goes out on leave, or someone gets promoted, or someone leaves the company, right? They want to know, do we have someone that can replace them? So that's what the succession planning is, right? In essence, so they review, will this person be ready now, or will they be ready in 5 years for a director kind of position, or for a manager position, or for a senior engineer, or whatever it may be, right? And or a sales manager, or that type of thing. So they have these conversations. Some organizations don't do it at all. I've worked in a nonprofit, many nonprofits don't, and they don't even do succession planning at all, to their handicap. They end up, someone like you, Sandcastle, that has a lot of talent, will leave potentially right after, and you've got a skill set, and they're hurting. They're hurting because they haven't had the conversations on who would replace you, right? So just to use you as an example. So the Fortune 500s definitely will do that, right? The Fortune 500 companies, probably 90% of them do some form of succession planning. Not all of them do it well, but definitely informally the conversations occur, right? Even if they're in the lunchroom, right, among managers, the conversations go on. They're just not always necessarily formalized. But that could be a topic. We can talk about that more tomorrow. You want me to cover that more tomorrow? I'll come on around 8:30 or 9 tomorrow night. I got to check my schedule. We could do a deep dive on succession planning if you guys want tomorrow. You can ask me all kinds of questions, like what is it they talk about? What's the process they use? How do I? That sounds like shy. I'm being pushed. Tell me more. Well, I heard you at the very beginning of this Periscope that you feel you're being pushed into it. So it might be a conversation around that. Oh, why are you being pushed? Okay, well, there could be a number of reasons, Eclipse. One is you're a superstar. You're a superstar, and they see a lot of potential for you, and they want to position you with a certain type of experience for some other opportunities too, right? They see you have a lot to offer, right? So if they're really pushing you, now I don't know why they would be paying less. That's a disconnect for me. I don't get that. But you have every right to ask them. You have every right to ask them. It's like, well, they want you or they need you to fill this role for some reason. You have leverage. You have leverage. You could say, I'm not comfortable taking this and taking a cut. I would at the very least want to maintain my current base. How about, what would that look like if after 3 months, I get a base pay only allow 5% increase? Okay, so you could get a base pay increase and they would diminish your potential what? Commission? Is that where the cut occurs in your potential commission? So you can negotiate that. If they really want you in that role, oh, I see. So if they want you that badly in that role, like if they're pushing you, that tells me you might be pretty darn marketable. You can probably negotiate a bit. Like what's in it for you to do that? I mean, what's in it for them is they get someone valuable like yourself, most likely, doing some more work that's going to help their bottom line, right? Well, do you think they're going to get fired? If they want you to take on this new position, do you think you're really going to get fired? It's possible. I mean, if you have attitude about it or something. Yeah, what's in it for me? Heightened skills, yeah. So consider that. That's a great question. What's in it for me? What's in it for them? What's in it for them for me to do it? What's in it? What's for them to lose by me not taking it? How about that? What are they going to lose out on if I turn this down? Yeah, awesome questions. You're asking the right questions. You just need to kind of reflect on it and think it over, and think and talk to some. If you have some trusting relationships with peers or with friends, help utilize them to figure that out. The answers to some of those questions, right? What's in it for them? Why would they be forcing me? It could be because they've had some discussions, right? Eclipse. So here's something that goes on, and then I'm going to need to wrap up this broadcast because it's been going an hour now. They say, Eclipse has potential here, and she kind of maybe downplays herself. She's maybe like I don't know. I think you said shy, on the shyer side, or maybe you're comfortable where you are. Yeah, mastered your current role. So they're thinking, either A, we want to get someone else in this role, so we can skill someone else up. She has so much to offer. We want to get her in this other role, right? And you may or may not be comfortable with it, right? Maybe you love what you do, doing that. And so a lot of times they'll give a nudge. They'll give nudges to people, and I've seen it work both ways. I've seen them give someone a nudge that wasn't comfortable, maybe like yourself, moving. And then you discover something totally new, like, wow, I actually like this. I don't get the pay part. I would negotiate that. I mean, your company, so talk around to some people. Or if you have a mentor, speak more with your mentor about that, because you can have a candid conversation saying, I would love to take this opportunity. The thing that's getting in the way for me is ... I'm having a difficult time swallowing this, 20% cut in commission. I'm having a difficult time justifying that. I'm wondering if we can be creative. If it's not the pay, you're money driven. Are you money driven? Or are there other things that are worth money to you? Like maybe, I don't know, reimbursement for, I don't know if you get your own company car or whatnot, or I don't know if health club membership or flexibility, or, are there other things that would be worth money to you? So, up to a point, Sandcastle, up to a point, money is a primary motivation. Once many people have enough money, we're looking for something more, right? Sometimes we leave a job because of the money, But oftentimes we leave a job because we're not happy with our boss, right? Or we don't feel we're able to give our talents and have meaningful work or something like that. So I mean, we're all different. Some people definitely money is top for them, but it may be for you guys. So I mean no disrespect or anything. It may be for you guys. If that's the case, then negotiate for that, right? But I would also invite you to consider what's worth money to you that's not dollars, but what's long term would still be money in your pocket, right? Like for me, if I didn't need to commute all the time, I would save money on gas. I would save time, so I'd have more quality time. That's worth some money to me. I'd take a pay cut, for example, to have zero commute or like maybe a 10-minute commute instead of an hour and a half or something, right? So you have to consider for yourself the trade-offs there. And that's where you can be creative, right? So if they truly have constraints, Eclipse, if they have constraints on, this is where we're at. Like, why is it that they can pay you 20% commission now, but not in the new role? How often do I Periscope? I'm brand new to this. This is my fourth Periscope. I just started this past week. I took last night off. I'm committed to doing this for a few weeks, and then I'll evaluate. I'm a private person. You might not believe it. I'm a very private person. This is new. This is a stretch for me. This is my growth, right? This is my growth. I hate to see people suffer. I've seen too many employees, good people, suffer because they have all these myths. That's where we started. I know we went off a little bit. Needlessly suffer silently oftentimes because their belief system is off or because they're faced with some challenging situations. So you're my new student. Awesome. Well, you guys are awesome students and mentees. I'm happy to mentor you. So my goal is to Periscope. I'm not going to say every single night, but, I'm going to try to make it work. Yeah, so tomorrow I plan to be on tomorrow about the same time. Tomorrow I'll be on about the same time. So thank you. Appreciate the compliments. You can give hearts or whatever. Share. Feel free to share this. If you find this valuable, share it with your friends. You can swipe. I'm just learning Periscope. You can if you have iPhone, swipe to your left to right, I think, and then scroll up, and you can share it to all your Twitter followers or to individual people. If you have a Droid, I think you pull down, and welcome sweets. You can pull down, and you can you can share as well. You can share as well. Share it with your friends. You can also like my Facebook page. So I'm going to end that with that. I'm going to go ahead and end here. You guys are awesome tonight. It's really been a lot of fun. So we'll continue this conversation tomorrow. Go to my Facebook author page, facebook.com/7pipelines, and like the page, and then you'll get the updates whenever I'm going to be on. All right, see you, Sandcastle. Thanks for joining. So then you'll know I'm pretty good about putting, hey, I'm going to be on tonight type of thing. You'll get a heads up at least. You can also enable, if you have it on Periscope, to be notified when I'm live. That's another way. You can go to MikeGelman.com to learn more about me. If you're interested in my book, that's available to you. I'm not trying to push my book, just letting you know there's resources. There's some articles I've written for Entrepreneur Magazine. I wrote one. That's on my website under resources. So that's how to deal with a toxic boss. That's a good one. How about that? That could be a good Periscope. So again, I hate to see people suffer and struggle so much with their career, and I love helping people reach their potential. I really get a lot of satisfaction by helping people reach their potential. That's why I'm doing these Periscopes, even though I was terrified of doing the broadcasting live and doing this, so publicly. So again, that's where I'm at. So with that, I'm gonna say good night. Thank you. You guys have been great, and hope to see you guys tomorrow night, or later this week, whenever you can join the broadcast. Okay, so take care.